demon world sort of works. And we got some points here. I'm just going to carry on with you, Ben. I think one of the things that actually, what were we talking about? Where did I leave off? You mentioned
the demons, they can't really perceive anything outside of pain.
Oh yes, okay, yeah. So the demon pain, yeah. So I mentioned Hellraiser, and this idea of demons living in eternal pain, that jives with a lot of religions, right? It's the ultimate punishment, right? So one of the things that I was always dissatisfied with the Hellraiser series is that the demons all just sort of got used to their pain. They live with it, and I suppose that to a certain extent that would happen. But I think it's really important to show that the minions are tortured. They're living tortured existence, right? So I think there's something there that's quite powerful. Maybe we could do something with the minions that have never been done before, right? So I don't know. The first thought that pops into my head is the panel from the Elektra graphic novel by Frank Miller that showed Elektra running through a snowscape away from being chased by the zombies of everyone she's ever killed. Not exactly that, but something where we can see that the minions are being emotionally tortured in ways that we can understand. The one thing I don't like about minions, especially minions that are supposed to represent characters from hell, is they're actually humans, right? They're actually us, people, who have supposedly broken some major moral law and ended up in hell, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at minions, the first thing you think is, oh yeah, okay, I gotta wade through these guys to get to a boss battle, right? There's no real personality to them, right? So it'd be interesting to kind of focus on the tortured aspect, right? Even if it's something simple as like, when they're released on Earth and they're carrying out a mission, they're constantly screaming in pain. They're constantly struggling with it, and I don't know. I can't really think of an elegant way of portraying that now, but it's something that I think is worth investigating. Can we kind of have these guys living a truly tortured existence? It would amplify the horrifying nature of hell. It would also add to the serious tone of the story. There's a lot of stuff that could be there. I'm just gonna pop that down in my notes. Under the minions. You weren't really referring to minions when you mentioned that idea, hey?
I kind of just like you said earlier, will do like this kind of seem to live with pain.
Yeah.
Right. But the younger, like the lesser and the working demons, they are like the really tortured ones.
Right.
It's like the really old demons, like the lords and the elders, that kind of just not so much like shrug it off, but
here's an interesting thought. I'm going to use a cheesy example, but you'll get the idea. So what if the demons, as they ascend, they've got multiple daggers through them, causing all kinds of pain. But as you go up the rank, you get to pull one of those daggers out, so long as you insert it into somebody else, right? So as you go up, you have to cause pain to somebody beneath you, increase their pain, but you relieve some of yours, right? So that's incentive for one of the many incentives anyway for a minion to climb up the ladder and become an elder, right? It's this ability to alleviate pain.
So that could be tied into the execution.
Yeah, absolutely. It could actually be the removal of the final dagger will result in the death of the elder demon. Maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's very, very video gamey, but and it doesn't have to be daggers. It's just I'm using that to kind of give the idea. So it could be something else, and that might be worth investigating. I'm going to make a note of that. I think to ascend. It's interesting, right? So do you see how we're evolving the politics of what goes on in the demon hierarchy by just walking it through like this?
Yeah.
Ascend. Minion must alleviate some pain so long long as they increase someone else's. Something like that, right? And I put 5 daggers, and hopefully I'll remember what that means. Okay. So anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
What was the 4th level?
The what?
So we had minions, we have lords, and we have elder demons, and you said there were 4.
There's like the lesser ones, which are just feral. They're like the most. They're the ones who they're just insane with pain and suffering, and then it's like the minions.
Oh, I see. Oh, so it's earlier. Oh, I don't know if I like that, because then what is the difference between a minion and a tortured soul? I guess is what we call it.
A minion is a bit like a little more intelligent. I mean, I don't think.
So here's a question. Functionally, is it more interesting to add characters on the lower end of the hierarchy or on the higher end? I would argue maybe it's more interesting to see how high they can go. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is the 4th level? We don't even have to figure out. Maybe the elder demons don't know. They just know that there's an existence of a 4th level. But no one's ever returned from it, so nobody knows what that level is.
Okay.
Maybe it could be an interesting little thing. But it does. I'm saying this out loud, but it does bring up an interesting dilemma. Effective villains, to increase their power in a story, should have very little personal problems to deal with, right? Like most villains, other than the problems posed by the hero, seem to be perfect and executing their plan perfectly, right? So by introducing a 4th level that's an unknown, our villains are not completely in control of their world. So I think that might rob them of a little bit of power. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I do know that a 4th level is essential, and I'll tell you why. So do you guys? So what do you guys think? 3 levels to the hierarchy or 4?
I feel like there should be like a 4, but like you said, no one knows what's there. The elder demons, with what I said earlier about like the lords being the one that kind of do the executions to stop themselves from becoming the demons, the elders. I mean,
yeah.
The elders were kind of meant to be like the mystical element, the thing that kind of was only kind of speculated about what it actually was.
Yes.
Because like the lords think that they're the elements.
Right. Yeah, I am forgetting you did make this note that they're ethereal. So they're Yeah. That
they're meant to be the unknown, I guess.
Yeah.
Mine could be a dumb idea, but what if level 4 is what all of them are trying to achieve? Level 4 is like they can bring hell to earth or something like that.
Yes. No, it's not. There's no dumb ideas at this stage, right? Because I'm hoping that you've seen by now that when Ben was talking through ideas that he thought was cheesy or not good, we've talked about, and there's actually something there, right? And the reason why I kind of encourage this is because sometimes our initial thoughts are coming instinctively, right? So there's something instinctive that we like about the idea. So it's worth exploring. The ideas are cheesy because we haven't thought it through and we haven't thought deeply about it. But the initial idea, there could be something there. So you're saying that all the elder demons aspire to be level 4.
Yeah, it's like where they can merge hell with earth. So like that's what they want to achieve.
Merging hell on earth. Here's a thought. What if hell doesn't exist in another place? What if hell is interdimensional? So hell is right now around us, right? We're just out of phase with it, right? So it's not as if they can rise out of the earth and enter earth or come from another dimension. We are actually living with hell at the same time right now. We just can't see it. It's just not merging into our reality.
What, kind of like the upside down from?
Oh yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, kind of like the upside down. Yeah, Yeah, I think that might be interesting, right? And so maybe at some level, so I'm thinking about this. Maybe at some level, the elder demons have achieved a status where they can observe us, but they cannot do anything. Maybe the elder demons observing us is what we see as ghosts. Maybe. And then the fourth level is actually being able to interact on our plane of existence. Maybe.
You know the minions?
Yeah.
You know we're saying they're living in like a tortured existence? Could
Yeah.
it be like in like a dark room, no windows, and then all we see is like a wallpaper with like little small 6666666. All it's like little dots, but if you like look close, it's the digit 6.
Yeah, okay. There's an element there that I like because so right away I pictured a minion in sort of, like a closed room. But that can go back to what I was talking about earlier about every minion having their own sort of personal tortured sort of existence. I want to be careful with the 666 because the 666 has kind of reached the same level as Count Dracula. It's difficult to portray them in a dramatic sense without it being a little bit cliche or cheesy.
I don't mean 666 right next to like wallpaper designs where you have like little dots everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean each of those dots could be like a number or something.
Yeah, you know what? Now that we're talking about it, well, I mean, why shy away from the number 6? It's there. It's part of the lexicon. It's part of the the mythology around it. So I mean, I think what we need to do is not shy away from 666 because it's the number of the beast and can be quite cheesy. What we need to do is find a clever way of presenting that, and I think I get your idea. So it's kind of like here's what it's making me think of. So say we have our demon manifestation on Earth. He's got a huge mansion and he's got like one of these ornate sort of maze gardens in the front yard. It's this huge maze garden, and then from a helicopter shot, you can see that maze garden spells out something or is some number, right? So it's like one of those things that you don't immediately see, like your wallpaper idea, right? So you don't immediately see it, but at some point it becomes clear. Is that kind of what you're?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
When you said that, I was kind of thinking of, have you seen How I Met Your Mother? Again,
Yeah.
an old reference for a demon show, but there's an episode of How I Met Your Mother that's like really sad. It has like a very sad reveal at the end of it.
Yeah.
Every single shot of the episode has a number in it.
Yeah.
And it counts down to the reveal. That's kind of what I thought.
Yes, no, that's interesting. And that's just made me think, well, instead of 666, let's go back to the names that spell out the noose or whatever it is. Right?
Yeah.
In fact, it'd be great if we could pick a word that had some powerful connection to the theme. And then we can hide that everywhere inside the story, right? Interesting. What do you guys think?
Couldn't we have one of the demons infiltrating the field by like being like how do I say it? Keeping the demons up to date. So like he looks human, he behaves like human, but he's literally a demon.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen. Most definitely, because one of the things I firmly believe is that when the devil arrives, the devil's not going to show up as this evil, angry, roaring, frightening thing. The devil's going to show up with a smile and a handshake, right? So that for me is a very, very powerful part of representing evil, right? We will not recognize evil straight away. So yeah, that's definitely going to be part of it. I don't know if it should be in the whole show though. That feels kind of like an episode to me. Right? And the reason why it feels like an episode to me is that because so this spy, right? This double agent or whatever, are they going to be with the team through the whole show? At some point, they got to find out who this person is, and then that character's role is over. Do you see what I mean? So I don't know if we could sustain it for the whole show.
Unless you make one of like the SEAL team, the spy, and then like hand him so that you could follow him afterwards and see what happens.
Or
But
What you know how we have Ghost Rider and he signs up his soul to save his dad? What if
Yep.
like that kind of scenario? So like one of the SEAL members is really good, he's like top notch, and then something happens to like one of the family members where he has to sign up his life to the demon to something like that.
yeah, I think it might be interesting if one of the members of the SEAL team becomes corrupted.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to watch, as opposed to being a bad guy right off the bat, right?
Like someone like his kid got some kind of illness and then he has to, and then one of the demons come up to him because he knows that he's needy.
Yep.
And then we can lead on to that saying how demons always one step ahead because of this corrupted seal.
Yes, yeah. No, I like that. You guys have seen Daredevil?
Yeah.
It's like the FBI agent who ends up working for the Kingpin, right? So I mean, he was essentially a good guy, part of the team, and because of his financial circumstances, he becomes corrupted. So the thing that drives the corruption is really difficult. It's got, because we always fall back on the mother in the hospital dying, or the kid is dying, or something like that. So we need to have a further discussion of what is powerful enough to corrupt one member of the SEAL team, because he's essentially turning his back on his best friends, right? So that also, see, we got two really powerful things we need to figure out. What would make you turn your back on your best friends to the point where you're literally killing them yourself, right? A game of Among Us? Just so pissed off.
That Ben, what he did.
So pissed off that he thought it was the yellow guy and it was actually the purple guy. So
That's a video though. It was his missus. I found out. Ben was like, nah, I didn't until.
but then the other is why are the demons breaking into Earth? And it has to be more than just because they want power. They want to control the Earth. There's got to be like a really strong emotional justification for it. And I think we got close. So if we get this idea that one of the elders is facing, quote, retirement, but doesn't want to go quietly, that's. Do you see what I'm doing there? It's a little bit more emotionally relatable, and there's a little bit more of an impetus to, okay, well, now I've got to do something. I'm an elder demon. They're gonna kill me. I got to do something about it now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. Is that you, Ben? All done?
Yeah, that's me pretty much done. I thought I had, while you were saying about the hell being like an upside down kind of place.
Yeah.
I thought some of the way that some of the demons suffer is that their suffering is that they can see the ones, if they're like existing in like a mirrored kind of place.
Holy cow, that's cool. That's cool.
They can't interact with them. They're just literally walled off watching them not do anything.
I'm just picturing this moment where obviously the minions are going to look no longer human. They're going to be like snarling demon type things, right? And I'm just seeing this moment in my head in a suburban neighborhood where maybe a wife is going to collect the mail from the mailbox and there's like this demon staring at her. And you're just like, as an audience, you're going, what's going on? But the demon looks kind of not feral. And you're like, what is happening? And it's the manifestation of the husband that passed away, right? But then the wife stops and senses something, right? And she's looking. And then you can have the two face to face, but then cut to the wife's POV and there's nothing there on the street, right? That could be a very interesting and very powerful little moment. I really like that. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, that could really work. And that could maybe play how one of the SEAL team is corrupted. Maybe the
Yeah, I was just would it be too much or whatever? I was gonna say, if we have the corrupted officer, would it be too much if we have a corrupted Indian as well, trying to do the right thing because of?
Why not? Hang on, because then because sometimes mirroring and bookending work in a story. So I think that's quite interesting. So I'm just gonna put opposite, right?
What if one of the corrupted minion? What if his past life is somehow related to the corrupted officer? So like I don't know, like great grandfather or something like that.
Or a long lost brother, or a brother that died on a mission, or something like that. I like, so what I like about this, and it's something that we're not going to reveal to the audience straight away. In fact, it's a wonderful way to make the audience realize something about themselves. So if we portray the minions as these snarling feral beasts, and everybody goes, they're just snarling feral beasts, and we slowly start to reveal, no, these are actually people, like regular, ordinary people, right? That they've done something wrong in their lives and they've ended up in this situation. Man, have we got some powerful ingredients to like make the audience sit back and think, right? So yeah, no, it's yep.
Maybe not like the main villains kind of goal to do anything, but maybe the lesser demons, their goal is to get people here is just to get back to loved ones, because they're so like when they find out that they're able to travel to Earth, they go with the intention of just wanting to get back to Paramount, but maybe like their family's reaction to them causes them to go off and start killing.
Yes and no. I like that idea, and I'll tell you why I like that idea. But we have to be very, very careful, because when a minion travels up that hierarchy and becomes an elder demon, they're getting all human emotion burned out of them, aren't they? They're like becoming true embodiments of evil, and that's sort of an expectation from the audience. They gotta not really care at all about anything. But one of the things that I liked about I think it was a Naruto film. They had a big bad guy in this anime film that I saw, and she was hell-bent on destroying the main characters and their mentor. And then towards the end, you find out why she wants to kill the mentor so badly, because it's unrequited love. And it's just like that surprise reveal when I was younger was like, bam! I was like, holy cow. She's not evil. She's just incredibly pissed off at him. But what I'm saying is that there might be something there. So it's a risky one in terms of a story idea because of our expectation. But I think it's worth chasing down just a little bit to see if there's something there, right? So what was it again? So they want something, perhaps lost love. Back on Earth, maybe.
You know, you were saying how we see the minions as like horrible monsters and all, yeah.
Yeah.
What if they see themselves and other minions as the previous life?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then when they start to lose the emotion, they start to see the beastly version of themselves, and then that's how they go up into the elder demon, the ranking.
Yeah. That's interesting. There's something there. Perhaps minions. That could be such a wonderful reveal, right? I can picture the camera move. So we've got the demons are all snarling and they're all feral, and then we have a camera rotate around behind the head of a demon, come out the other side, and it's all just people.
And then what if some of them, like, you know how the Navy still see them as beasts and like tagging? When the SEALs come in, some of the minions are like, wait, what's going on? They can't do anything because the SEALs see them as monsters coming to attack, but the minions, the knights, they're like, that's not me, that's not what I'm doing right now. We see like a different perspective maybe.
Right. Well, it's interesting because maybe one of the things that happens to our corrupted SEAL is he starts seeing the minions as human. He starts seeing the real minions. And so that can kind of tie in somewhere. There's lots of stuff here, right? This is exactly what I wanted to accomplish. And just to demonstrate for you guys how we can chase these things down. And now we've got a whole bunch of ideas that's just got meaty story elements to it. Do you know what I mean? And it all started off with a page of what felt like they might be cliched ideas. Do you see how this evolved and how this works?
Yeah.
It's cool. I enjoy this stuff. I find this immensely fun, as you could probably tell. Oh, okay. Was that it, Ben?
Yeah, that's all from me.
Okay. So who's next?
I've done a bit on weapons, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's. I'll put that under technology. I'm gonna have to make a separate sort of heading for the bad guys, I think. But let's talk about demon weapons.
I'll put the link to, because I've got images on it. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
in the research.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a good idea. Right. So I think one of the things that we sort of needed to figure out is the boundary of the weapons, right? How they sort of function to a certain degree. Now, the one thing about the rules for the weapons is, unlike with video games, you can cheat the hell out of it for dramatic, purposes and things like that. Like the gun that never needs reloading. That sort of a thing. But we need a baseline to start those discussions, though, right? So we talked a little bit about the runes, and so I really like the idea that the runes are not just something confined to Earth; they're all over the demon plane of existence. So, what else about the weapons?
And they need to be like, like the guns we see now, like I was saying, one of the ideas was an FMP90 with like bullets, with something to do with, in Ghostbusters they had the part of the electric.
Yep.
Yeah, they had something to do with that in the bullet. So to kill the demons or something like that.
Yeah. So here's an interesting question, guys. Do we want it to be energy based on science or energy based on magic? To be honest, I'm sort of leaning towards science a little bit.
Science, yeah, that's fine.
Because it fits with automatic weapons, right? It's hard to think of a mystically powered AR-15. It's just kind of strange, right? So that begs the question. In the original pitch trailer that I wrote, there was a kid named TikTok who was their like tech guy, right? The gifted 12-year-old. Cliche, but we can work on that. Evolve the character. But it's bringing back this idea of how important it is to have a tech ops guy on the team. So that's the one thing. But let's go back to the FMP90. So the bullets, the ammo. What
So I was thinking something. It has something to do with like some kind of energy charge, but you know how they say demons have like negative charge.
Okay.
So
Yep.
something with positive charge to capture just like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And not to capture, it's more to kill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kill because it is negative.
Hang on a second. We can do something different from Ghostbusters, right? So if the demons have a negative charge, what if the ammo has a negative charge? Because in magnetism, like repels like. So now I'm going back to magic. So if there is a way of harnessing the demon's negative energy and firing it back at the demon, there could be something there, because it means that the SEAL team has to utilize evil energy to achieve good. Do you see what I mean? There's an irony at work there. What do you think?
So then that means they'll have to catch a demon to...
That means they have to catch a demon to harvest the energy from the demon.
They'll have to learn about the spirit's energy and all that kind of thing. So like, something like that.
So interesting. So check this out. So let's say they have to capture a demon to harvest the negative energy, and it's a very torturous experience, and it kills the demon brutally, but they don't care. It's a demon. It's one of the minions. It's like, yeah, okay, well, we're taking a minion's dead body, but it's giving us the charge for the ammo. Until they discover that the demons are people. How powerful will that revelation be?
Maybe
that starts the corrupted
Yes.
team member on
Yeah.
his path.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to go back to technique. So oftentimes what I'll do in my head is I'll take an idea and I'll flip it, see if the opposite works. And I've just done that there, right? Because sometimes there is value to listening to an idea, but thinking about the opposite implementation of the idea, and you may find some interesting nuance, right? I'm going to jot that down. So has negative charge. That's harvested for demons who are actually people. We are now hovering nicely around a different theme, but a good theme, right? This whole idea that demons are actual real people. And how do we deal with that? You know, the theme could be, you know, how we view people in our daily lives and how we judge them and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting. I think there's something there. So what else have you got?
I went with. I had a RPG for the demons on the higher ranking, but then after thinking about it, I was saying how we could have the seal try. They come across an elder demon.
Yeah.
Try to take him out with the FMP 90 ammo, but they can't.
Yeah.
So that now something like we set up a goal of trying to capture an elder demon so they can harvest its energy on the RPG so that they're taking down all the elder demons.
Right. So it's interesting. My first thought was, why doesn't it work on the elder demon? You know, because the easy answer is like, oh, it's because it's uber powerful, right? But what if the fact that the seals don't know that an elder demon already harvests negative energy from the minions anyway? So by firing at it, you're actually helping it, right? So what I'm trying to do is make sure we're not disconnecting the weapons from the hierarchy. Do you know what I mean? It's got to feel like one cohesive whole. They all have to sort of interact with each other, right? And the rules that we establish for the hierarchy also have to somewhat be the rules that govern the weapons. They have to sort of connect up. So that's interesting there. Do you think that our team would just assume we need to harvest elder demon energy? Well, also, how would you capture an elder demon? Like, I'm imagining the SEALs sitting down and having a conversation going, well, okay, so the mission is to capture an elder demon. Somebody we've been trying to kill for like a decade now and being unsuccessful. So now we just want to go out and capture one? Actually, I say that out loud, and that would be a really interesting scene, wouldn't it? Because as the audience, you'd be thinking, we're taking the SEAL team who've had a very difficult situation and making it harder.
Sounds like that one episode of Game of Thrones where they go north of the wall to capture a white.
Yes, yeah.
That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to write down what I just said because I like that little bit of dialogue. We've been trying to kill elders for years now. Unsuccessfully. A Marine wouldn't say unsuccessfully, or a SEAL, but whatever. Years now, unsuccessfully. Now you want us to capture one alive? I can totally picture that. That would be a really interesting scene. And it's just like, as the audience, you'd be going, yeah, holy shit.
You know how we're saying that elder demons don't have any emotions and all that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Could we capture the elders with something to do with emotions? Something like, so I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah, no. I see where you're going with that.
The only way to like capture it fully, not kill it, capture it, is through emotions. So we bring it back into that minion state.
Yeah.
If the kind of story goes that one of the elders trying to escape being executed.
Yep.
I think there's kind of emotion in just that motivation to get out of that. So maybe they could lure it in that way, but I don't know how they would know if.
Let's think this through though, guys. I've just realized there's only 5 of them, right? And they have to be very, very powerful to be one of 5. And they've been around for thousands, millions of years, like a long, long, long time, tens of thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an easy thing to catch one of these guys. Are we thinking of a story idea that would be sort of impossible for us to kind of achieve? Like, are we chasing down a red herring here? I'm just trying to think about this out loud. Or is it because our main bad guy is... Yeah, so here's the thing. So they are trying to fight with a main bad guy. So they're going to do it by capturing another demon at the same level? Why not just capture the main bad guy?
Maybe because one demon that is considered like an element, an actual part of creation has left. Maybe things have become a bit unstable. The other 4 are concerned about what this one is doing, so that they try and track down. And in like their little skirmish, one of the demons gets taken by the other, so the SEAL team take advantage of that opportunity.
Yes, yeah. I see that. I understand that. But check this out. What if one of the elders just walks into their base and says, I'm here to help you? Because if you think about it, right? We got 5 elders, right? One of them's gone rogue. Things are starting to unravel. The 4 elders are going to have a meeting. They're going to be like, what the hell are we going to do about this?
Yeah.
So maybe, we could still have the SEALs planning on capturing an elder. But wouldn't you as an elder just go, I'm just going to show up. Here's my energy. This gives you the weapon to take out the bad guy. Which is effectively doing the elder's job for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why would you not as an elder want that? It's like, hey, you know what? Let's give these guys a hand taking out our rogue elder. If they succeed, great. If they fail, no problem. That's no skin off our back.
I was just wondering if they would consider the SEAL team an actual threat at their level, or if they'd just be like,
I
they
don't
are below us so much.
I don't think they would. Because think about it. The SEAL team are a bunch of guys who are shooting and taking out minions with ammo harvested from minion energy. It seems like a pretty Mickey Mouse operation if you're an elder. So I'm inclined to think that they don't think the SEAL team is a threat until a certain point in the story. Because one of the characteristics of a villain is overconfidence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, now that I'm talking this through, because I generally think while I'm talking things through, I'm arriving at that conclusion that they regard the SEALs as nothing, right?
But
That's a
maybe
very...
after they capture a minion and harvest the energy, that's when they get put on the Elder's radar. So that's when the Elders talk, they're like, well, they did this one thing with the minion where they were able to capture the energy of a minion to kill other minions. Maybe we can... if we offer ourselves up.
Maybe actually a little bit further than that, because the SEALs need to be killing minions to begin with. So that kind of doesn't work, because they'll need that kind of ammo from the beginning. But if the SEALs reach a point where a demon reveals their human nature, they've crossed some sort of threshold then, haven't they? Like, depending on how they realize the minion is human. They could unlock some energy. They could do something quite powerful to have that happen. And then the elders go, whoa, hang on a minute. They're humans. They're not supposed to be able to see minions' true self. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
we kind of save that as a surprise, maybe. But the key point is, at some point, the elders need to see our guys as a threat.
Maybe we're told that they capture Dominion to get their energy before the story starts.
Yeah.
We follow them and like up to a point where they manage to get a lord, and you take their energy. So
Right.
we see that act happening. So we see how difficult an act that is to happen.
Right.
And then because they have like lord energy, then they have, you know, maybe through that they're able to see the minions' true selves. So then there's
Yeah.
that expectation of like, oh god, they're gonna go up against an elder and do that. That's like, the lord was hard enough, so I wonder what the elder will be. And then there's
Yeah.
like that bit of expectation version with the elder one, just like the elders just giving themselves up. But
Yeah. No, I follow you. Yeah.
someone took a lord down, we gotta really consider them a threat, because
Yes.
they're taking a lord down.
Yeah. This point, actually, I just realized. But no, I like that. Let me, yeah. So I've got Capture of the Lord. So let's take this, because it's not really a discussion of weapons, and we'll pop it in the hierarchy bit here.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, hijack his meeting.
It's good. I was just thinking of how then I was saying at some point they figure out if you can negative energy and the positive, they can take down the moon. Okay.
Sorry, say that again?
I was saying at some point when they're having the big fight for the lord, so they can get the you know, they take out the big lord. You two were saying.
Yep.
They're losing, and then somehow they accidentally turn the negative energy to charge into positive, and that's how they take down the lord, something like that.
Oh, right. So they figure out the energy charge
From the
switch.
minions, if you turn it into positive, you can take down the lord.
Yeah. So it's like it's across the streams moment, right?
It's like when you're, it's like oh no, the seals are gonna fail. They're gonna fail again, and then they accidentally somehow turn that negative energy into positive.
Is that too simple though? Would the audience go, well, why didn't they think of that in the beginning? I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I've written it down. So changing energy polarity, is that a narrative moment in the story? It could be a red herring. They could assume they could do something with the changing of the polarity. It could affect the Lord somehow, and they could think that that's the solution. And then they could try it on another Lord, and the other Lord is like, you think it's as easy as that? Right? So it could be a red herring. Actually, it feels more natural that that's a red herring. But it just feels simple. Our discussion on the weapons feels simple so far, and I'll kind of explain why in just a sec. But we're getting conceptually, we're getting it. Is there any other kind of thoughts, Bibbin?
I was saying, you know, catching the spirits, the
Yeah.
minions.
Yep.
Same thing. It could be like a conventional. You know how we have the ghost hunter kind of equipment.
Yeah.
Something like that to capture one of the minions, because they're easy to target to get. We can harvest the energy.
Yeah. That's made me think, are we going too much down the route of Ghostbusters? Because I don't want it to be a ghost hunting, demon hunting thing. It's got to be more like Aliens, right? So it's, I mean, these seals, they don't want to capture the demons. If they want to just kill them all and let God sort them out. You know, they're just they're like exterminators, right?
Okay.
No, but it's interesting because we've already factored in that they capture one of them to harvest the energy. But then right at the beginning of this discussion, I said I prefer the ammo and the solutions be science-based and not magic-based. And here we are talking about it being magic-based. But that's okay. That's all right. This is all kind of worth it in terms of understanding where we're coming from and understanding the boundaries of the story. This is exactly what this exercise is meant to do, is to try to find the boundaries. And we can only find them if we reach and push them and break them and stuff, right? Any other thoughts on the weaponry?
Nothing. That's all I can remember.
Yeah.
That's what I put down. Yeah.
So here is what's missing and I only realize this now talking through this. If we want it science-based, we need to understand the science, right? So we have to understand the behavior of quarks, or how they react to, particle acceleration, or, stuff like that. We need to understand what, to a certain degree, well, the first stage is to translate the magic into science. So demon energy, what is it? So the Ghostbusters did it with ectoplasm, right? So we need something similar. We need a scientific mind to translate dimensional travel in terms of science, right? Interdimensional travel, right? Then we have what I really kind of want as a crux of the battle: science versus magic, right? Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't have to be particle based; it could be light based. So we could talk about, something about the behavior of light, and I don't know. It requires just a quick skim through a physics textbook, a high school physics textbook, and see if there's anything there that we could play with. Right. We're at 12 o'clock now. David, do you have anything?
I've just been sat here listening to what's been going on.
So what do you...
Honestly, I don't think I have anything that hasn't been said already.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Any thoughts or opinions or disagreements or things that you don't like? Or...
I don't know. I think how it's going is pretty epic so far.
Oh, yeah? You like it? Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
That's cool.
I don't really have anything to add.
Right. Okay.
I don't hate it.
No, that's cool. That's also incredibly important, right? Because, and goes for all of you guys, right? We have to talk about ideas that we have to flag anything we immediately hate, right? So that's really, really important. Now, one of the things that we have not touched on as of yet, but it's not important at this particular stage, is right now it's just high-level concepts. There's no kind of emotional impetus, but I think we hit on something when we talked about the minions actually being people and existing in our world around us today. I think there's something there where we can start to build a very engaging, very emotionally invested bad guy. And we want that. We want the more we can relate to the bad guy, the more threatening the bad guy is, right? So that's interesting. I love the introduction of the corrupted seal. I think that's really good because we have to show how far-reaching evil is, right? And I really like the switch of also having a minion becoming corrupted and actually becoming positives to a certain degree. A lot of shows have done it. There's a TV show called The V, and they, it was about aliens invading the Earth, and there was one or two aliens that had a good heart, and they became the fifth column. So there's some interesting stuff there, right? It also having a minion become corrupted also delivers that sort of semi-religious message that no soul is ever lost. It simply transforms from state to state, and every soul can be saved, kind of thing. So there's like this positive message to it all, right? That's essentially what I wanted to do with this is create something that guns towards a happy ending, right? So that's very, very cool. I'm gonna sort of end off. We'll go about 15 minutes over. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm gonna end off by sort of going through the rest of the pilot script where I left off, because there were some story elements that I forgot to mention to you guys last time, but it's worth you guys kind of knowing overall where I was going with it, so that when we continue we're sort of all on the kind of the same page. And I don't know if I can link you. I think I can link you guys into this, but I don't know how many collaborators I can have running all together. I think it's only one other collaborator. If not, I'll post the PDF up somewhere for you guys to get at. Okay, so when we left off, we had our characters sort of leaving the bedroom, right? So Key picks up Sue, and they. So I read up to the swinging bodies, right? So they go past the swinging bodies and they break out of the apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I read the bit where they're going into the bedroom over and over again. Or they exit the apartment and they're back into Sue's bedroom. Yeah, I read that. I thought I read that bit. Okay. So let's see. Whoops. Where's the scroll? Okay. So let's pick it up. So he's caught in this Mobius loop, right? And so he knocks out Sue, and then all that horrifying imagery melts away, and the world returns to normal. And then he exits the exit door out into the parking lot. So that's where we left off. And he's got the unconscious girl's body with him. So interior parking lot. Moments later, a single black van screeches into the parking lot outside of Little Sue's block of flats. Key explodes at the front entrance with Sue slung across his shoulders. The van donuts to a stop, its rear door snapping open as 3 SAS soldiers burst out, weapons hot. A gurney clatters to the tarmac as Key gently places Sue on the mattress. Sue spasms and hyperventilates, her body jerking uncontrollably. The lead SAS soldier pulls off her helmet. On her uniform is the name tag Raven, 45. She snarls as she holsters her Sig Sauer. Bloody hell, you know she's 10, yeah? Key, if it's a choice between dead and a headache, I'll take the headache. Raven centers her attention on the girl, all business. She sheds her combat gloves and places both hands on the girl's forehead. Key, Ryan is dead. So's Miller. Did you know about any of this? Do you in fact know anything? Raven, shut up. Key's face purses up in anger. Sue's spasms intensify. Raven, gonna try a grade 3 extraction and hope I've pitched it at the right level. Raven closes her eyes as the 2 other soldiers close ranks behind her. Raven, let's see who's running the show in there. Raven closes her eyes. Key, watch yourself. We could do without any more fuck-ups. Blinding flash. Raven hurtles through the air, smashes into one of the soldiers. Key and the others slam into the ground like rag dolls. Blood pops fresh off one temple as Key lifts his head. One SAS officer recovers fast, on his feet, runs to the aid of his fallen CO, Raven. Key, struggling. Wait! A hand clamps, vice-like, on the soldier's throat. Veins pulse with dark energy. The soldier's eyes bulge. At the other end of the iron grip is Raven's face. It smolders with a malicious sneer. Dark veins slither across her face. Raven, in brackets, Bale. So, to a little girl. Raven smirks, almost disgusted with himself. She flexes her fingers as if feeling them for the first time. Raven, imagine that. Raven snaps the soldier's neck, tosses him aside. Raven, of all the tactics, a little girl. Raven, seething with some unseen dark force, turns to leave. The remaining soldier charges. Raven tears a strip of flesh off his face. She slams the limp soldier into the side of the van. Bones crunch. Raven, sometimes it's the simplest of things that elude us. Raven walks down the road. Darkness swallows her. Key screams after her in frustration. He struggles to his feet. Little Sue from off screen. Bastard flipped me. He whips his head around to stare dumbfounded at the girl on the gurney. Key grimaces with pain as he scrambles to her side. Key. Raven? What happened? Little Sue. Bastard flipped me. Key. Fuck. Grade 3 extraction? Good guess. Try adding a fucking 0 to that. Little Sue stares at her little arms. She looks at the dead soldiers on the ground. Little Sue. He took my goddamn body. Key. That wasn't your run-of-the-mill demon. That one was something special. What the fuck are we gonna do now? Little Sue, quiet. Key, any more brilliant ideas? Little Sue, shut it! Little Sue furrows her brow. We need my son. Little Sue fixes him with a stare. She's drenched in sweat. Find my son. Exterior, rundown, playground, evening. Curtis, 15, a young teen in a gray hood, leans against a rusted roundabout. He's on his phone. From a neighboring council flat, Liam, 17, a surly lad with Asbo written across his face, saunters over. Curtis looks up, notices Liam's alone. Curtis. For fuck's sake. Liam, what? Curtis, what did you do with him now? Liam, I didn't do nothing. Curtis, man, why you gotta be messing like that? Liam, I done nothing. Curtis pushes off to his feet, starts marching towards the flat. Curtis, you know he's got our shit, yeah? Curtis storms off. Liam, how fuck's I supposed to know? Evergreen Flats continuous. Down a threadbare hallway lined with chipped and faded wooden doors is a small utility closet. A small voice echoes from behind the door. Mark, off screen. 2%, Jesus. Utility closet, continuous. An iPhone's battery icon sits at 2%. The phone flips over to reveal a thick black battery case. One of the 4 dots blinks. Mark, off screen. Ah, you're kidding. Phone flips back. A quick flick of the thumb and YouTube pops up. Thumb presses camera and YouTube begins streaming. Logs in, YouTube pops up. Mark Sin, 15, stares back from the screen in a washed out selfie that doesn't hide the hair that's never been fussed over, the shirt 2 sizes too big. Mark, what's up, YouTube? That's right, supply closet. Again. I don't get why they think this is funny, but whatever. Mark shifts and shuffles in front of the camera as he struggles into his back pocket. Mark, right, before the battery goes. He proffers the camera a dime bag. Mark, oh snap, they're so simple, those guys. Love them. Curtis, he's like the player that's got no game, and Liam's like a big slobbery bulldog. Liam, off screen. What the hell did he just... There's a loud bang on the door. Liam, what the hell did you just call me, you little shit? Mark goes all eyes. Shit, they're on my stream. Will wonders never cease? A loud crack and light spills across Mark's face. Mark turns away from the phone and looks up from where he sits on the linoleum floor. Mark, hey guys, you forget something? Big meaty hands grab his collar. Exterior bridge underpass moments later. A dank bridge underpass, a single street light. The 3 boys kick around an empty can, their bikes piled in a heap off to one side. Liam, why you gotta post that shit online? Mark, why you gotta keep locking me in closets and shit? Liam furrows his brow. Liam, I'm just messing with you. Mark, yeah man, when you do, it goes online. See how this works? Liam makes a sudden motion to punch Mark, who doesn't flinch, almost welcomes it. Then the hulking bully saunters off for a power pout. Curtis, I'll tell you why you do it. Mark looks up and frowns. Curtis, that's right, bruv. Clocked you, yeah? Because giving them all that shit, trolling, yeah, is giving you goals, isn't it? Because you got to have goals. It's like you got to shit on everyone whose purpose don't align with your own. Curtis watches Liam pick up his bike. Curtis, and you find them all on the internet and shit, and you blast them. After a moment, Liam shakes his head and cycles off. Curtis, not just our poor Liam, yeah? Fucking everybody. It's what you do. Mark sees a strange 10-year-old girl standing across the street watching them. Curtis, we all got a purpose. Yours is to tear people down on forums and in comments and shit. Mark tries to make out the girl's features, but her face is in shadow. Curtis, trouble is, messing with other people's purpose isn't a purpose of your own. That shit ain't real, bruv. That's why you're empty. Got nothing inside you, yeah? And the only thing filling you up is anger. Mark bursts out laughing. Curtis' shield is being cool. Mark, shit was deep. Curtis, whatever. Street poetry, that's my game. I could play that shit all fucking night. Mark, in unison, all fucking night. They both laugh. Curtis, man, get out of my head, bro. Shit. Mark looks back at the empty spot where the girl once was. He shakes it off. Mark, man, there's a lot of space up in by there. Curtis, shit. Mark, it's roomy. Curtis, why you bullying? Exterior, line of parked cars. Moments later, Mark and Curtis walk along a line of cars. Mark tries the door handles on every car he passes. Curtis, it's like a home invasion, just doing it all stealth, yeah? She just thinks you're some one-night stand, all pussy man, yeah? Mark tries another door, locked. Mark, a little give me some of that. Just to be clear, you're calling that a home invasion? You know how that shit sounds, right? Curtis, full fridge, then comforters that got that crunch that feels warm and cool at the same time. You know what I'm saying? All Lenore fresh. Another car door locked. Mark, I'm going to stop you right there because you ain't clocking this obvious flaw in all this. Curtis, she just got to invite you in. Once you get your vampire ass over them thresholds, everything that's hers is now yours. You just need to get with the right chica, bruv. Car door locked. Mark, exactly. See, that's your first step. For me, it's my first, second, third, and man, I just keep stepping and stepping. Curtis jumps ahead of Mark. His hand clamps the next door handle. Curtis, confidence. You lack confidence. That's why you don't got no warm bed tonight. Mark, man, that's bullshit. You think if I had confidence, I could just open that? The door handle clunks, swings open. Curtis smiles. Mark, Get the fuck out of here, man. You're such an ass. Curtis, you know you don't got to do this. Mark grabs the car door. Mark, you know this morning when I was supposed to be going to school, I saw a half-empty bottle of Glen on the dash of the old man's van. This fucking morning. Nah, man, I can't handle this. Not tonight. Curtis, you know he's probably passed out, yeah? Mark, not tonight. Curtis hesitates, takes off. Takes off his jacket, hands it to Mark. See you in the morning. Mark grabs the jacket. Interior car moments later. Mark spreads Curtis's jacket over his legs as he stretches out in the back seat. He crooks his legs in favor of laying his head flat, then closes his eyes. Interior car later. A set of headlight beams slide across Mark's face. A sharp intake of breath and Mark's eyes pop open. The 10-year-old girl, little Sue, leans between the two front seats, staring. Mark, gah! The girl doesn't blink. Little Sue, what are you doing? Mark recovers, barely. Mark, sorry, I must have been super drunk last night. Jesus, I'll go. Yep, better go before your dad gets here. Mark struggles upright. Little Sue, when I left, you were about to graduate. And that's as far as I got. So that's all kind of first drafty stuff. I'm reading it out loud and I'm realizing that a lot of the conversation between the boys is probably not making a whole hell of a lot of sense. But so that's the dilemma that was set up, was to try and get a body swap. So Bale is now taken over Raven's body and Raven's now in the body of the little girl. Right? So I wrote this on the fly and the story sort of evolved out of my head. And I started thinking that visual of a little 10-year-old girl barking orders at a whole bunch of Marines, I like that. I think that's really kind of cool, right? And all the grown Marines, they have to listen to her because they know that it's actually Raven inside. And so the initial mission is to get sort of Raven out of the kid's body and back into her own body. So that becomes the first objective. So, what do you think? Any thoughts?
Having the logo command the Navy SEALs out, that's different. That's kind of cool.
Sorry, say that again?
The moment where she commands the Navy SEALs, like the proper BP guys, the old girl, it's different, it's cool.
Yeah, I think there's something interesting there. I might rewrite that scene because I don't think it was entirely clear what happened. So in my head, the backstory is that Bale has been trying to come into our world through a human host for hundreds of years, but he's never considered trying it with a child. So this is when he tries it with a child, and it's actually successful. But I don't think that came across clearly. And I think it's probably not something that needs to be brought up now. It can be brought up a little bit later on, I think. I'm trying to tell too much story in a moment where it's just about, look, the demon has gone into this person's body. That's it. That's all the audience needs to know. It's only 1 or 2 pages, right? So I'm probably going to go back and rewrite that. And the conversation, the introduction of the 3 friends, the backstory of what's going on there is that the Mark, our main character, is constantly deals his 2 friends pot, right? He's their supplier, right? So that's kind of the relationship I'm trying to set up in the beginning, but I might try something else. And they're constantly locking him in closets. So to give the idea that, well, here's the thing. Here's what I wanted to talk about. Because sometimes we know about bullies and nerds and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes you'll have like a sort of a little bit more of a weaker kid actually hang out with the bullies. Even though the bullies are like pushing the kid around, he just seems to want to be their friend all the time. It's like a toxic friendship, right? So I sort of wanted to explore that and why sometimes we have friends that are not entirely good for us, right? So that's the whole reason I wanted to set up a little bit of that kind of dynamic in the beginning. Also, I really want to get that right because introducing characters can potentially be very boring unless you put conflict in there or something about their ordinary everyday lives that they're trying to figure out when we drop the audience in the middle of introducing them, right? So, any other thoughts, comments? No, okay, we can call it at that, right? So the other thing I want to point out too is the introduction of the bedroom that has been rewritten twice already, but the next bit, which is why I hesitated to read it to you until we gathered again this week, with the body swap and the introduction of Mark, our main character, that's a first draft, and it reads like a first draft. It's really clunky. So I will talk you guys through my next step in terms of breaking it apart and how am I going to deal with it on the actual page. What I want to leave you guys with now is a little bit more of the fun stuff, right? So I want you to think about a scenario for our seals as sort of a standalone story, right? So we've got Raven, who's leading the seals, Mark, who's part of the group because he's got a supernatural connection, right? Let me talk a little bit about that. Actually, I'll talk a little bit about Mark, the main character, at the next class, right? But what I'd like you to do is try to think of a scenario, like a high-level scenario of what can happen in an episode. I did talk to you last week about every apartment in the block of flats that Mark lives in. That's the gateway for all these demons, right? So each apartment has a different kind of story, right, with each apartment dweller. That was sort of the premise. Now, we talked at length about the rules of the demon world, and it's not exactly going to jibe with the premise now. So that's where we're at. So, for example, we talked about the fact that the demons need to break into this world and the reasons why, but we didn't really tie it to the apartment complex. And why is the apartment complex the center of it all? That's okay. We'll try to kind of bridge that gap next class. But in the meantime, try to think of a scenario that you can drop the Marines in, some sort of problem that they can solve. Right? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be like a half-page pitch for an episode. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, just a half-page pitch. Yeah. Okay, cool. I hope you found today's session edifying. And we'll leave it at that today. Cool. All right, I'll let you guys go, and we'll see you next week. Okay, cheers. Yep, bye. Okay, there you go. Just saying hello to Eva. That's cool. I guess little closing thoughts, I suppose. It's an interesting discussion. I think there's more fruitful stuff at the beginning before I started the stream. So we talked a little bit about the structure of the minions and things like that. This stuff is very Dungeons and Dragons. Kind of thinking about this stuff is very game oriented, but I think it's necessary to have some kind of framework in place so we can start creating interesting moral dilemmas for our heroes, and we just have a framework with which to hang the story, and we can start bouncing ideas back and forth, as hopefully you saw in sort of the final examples. I love the fact that we are starting at ground zero on the idea. So there's a loose kind of premise, and I get to sort of explore the evolution of this idea, and I also get to stream it as well, so you guys are along for the ride. I just want to pop over because I left it with the guys that we would talk about Mark Sin's sort of involvement in the story. And there are, I think I will save this because there's a lot of notes here that I think the guys will find useful, right? So here again is the spreadsheet where I work a few ideas out. So we've got Raven Sin, we've got her son Mark Sin, and then Jared Sin, the father, and then we've got Tic Tac and Key and Sister Moon. Like really comic book names, but I enjoy comic book names, right? So they're a bit cheesy. The names will evolve into something else, but that's all right. We'll get there in the end. You know, I like the Bruce Banner and that kind of just these deliberate comic book names. We've got Bale and the notes for Bale and so on and so forth. So, I think, actually that's a good idea. I think maybe next session we'll dive into a little bit of character work and sort of explore our players and see where they're coming from. And then try to connect the dots with all the different stories. Cool. Thanks a lot for joining, and we'll catch you later.